Hello, hello, hello. Good day, scientists. It's your favorite sensei here again, Sensei Mohau. And together, from me and my amazing team in Violet Brother Academy, we would like to share compliments to the new year with you. So, compliments to the new year. We hope this year is filled with amazing, amazing, amazing things for you, and mostly academically so. We hope to see you shine and become a star, and we will be here every step of the way to help you. So now, today on this lesson, we are going to be dealing with timelines. I know timelines are a bit tricky, but mark my words, after this lesson, timelines will never be an issue. So now, what are timelines? Most of you may ask. So remember, timelines is in simple cases is something like this. So now, for example, let's go. So basically now, let's do it in this scenario. Yeah, it's the same simple interest, compound interest that we were doing in grade 8 and grade 9 and grade 10, but now something happened. So now remember, since we are here in South Africa, suppose the Reserve Bank of South Africa had an interest rate of 10% if you're opening a savings account, or investment account, you will be earning 10% yearly or annually. So now, suppose now unforeseen circumstances happen and they change the interest rate within the range of that investment period. Yeah, how? So now we will be dealing with that. So now, for example, so now suppose now you invest maybe 10,000 rands into an account you invested in 2020, So now 2020, 2021, 2022, it's 2 years now. And then after 2 years now, interest rate changes now to 10.75. So now that will be good for you. Why? Because of now your money will be now gaining more interest. But then there comes a catch. So now remember now, since you invested this in fixed account for 4 years now this 2 years was for the 10%, and then this other 2 years was for the 7.5%. So it's basically what we'll be doing. We'll be diving deep and deep and deep into such scenarios. So another example of what are timelines, or basically a scenario of a timeline, is, let's say probably you invest 10,000 for 4 years, then probably maybe a year later you have more money or more cash. You'll be like, I don't want to waste this money. Let me just put it in that investment account and just add the money that I saved on top. So now it's basically what we'll be focusing on, and in mostly withdrawals. So what are withdrawals? Remember now, additional deposit into investment account, and then withdrawals. Now let's say, for example, let's say I'm just gonna use the same thing here. You invested in 2020, 2021, let's say probably in 2023, unfortunately something comes up and you need the money urgently, so you withdraw some of the money. So now something will happen. Since now you withdrew that money, it will affect your interest rate that you will get in 2024. So it's basically what we'll be focusing on. So now watch this video till the end so that you will unwrap each and every struggle, each and every scenario that you may ever face. I'll be explaining each and every scenario so that come exam time, come March or June or September or December, in November, sorry, I mean, you'll be sorted out. So now let's start with the first scenario. Now, Whitney invested 28,000 for 7 years. For the first 2 years, the interest rate she received was 12 percent compounded semi-annually, and then it became or changed to 10% compounded quarterly in the remaining 5 years. So now remember now a timeline will make each and everything become much more easier and simpler. So we're just gonna do it just normal. As if in Gary, we just take a ruler, just draw. So it's T0. So it's that initial time before when you do that deposit into the savings account. Ne? So it's the first year, and it's T0. Then it's the first year. Remember, basically now, T0, let's say it's today. Let's say T0, it's today. It's the 2nd of January. Let's say T1, it's 1 year after you did the initial withdrawal, which will be the 2nd of January next year in 2027. So it's basically that. So now, so hence why we start at T0, not T1. Remember, T1 is basically like year number 1 or first year after the initial withdrawal. So 2nd year, 3rd year, 4th year, 5th year, 6th year, 7th year. So now let's just break everything down. 28,000 rands in this year. Let's say it's 2026. It will be 2026. Remember, 7 years from now, it will be, if here it's 2026, it will be 2026, 2027, 8, 9, 10. Oh, it's 2026, 2027, 2028, 2029, 2030, 2031, 2032, 2033. So it is basically 2033. So I'm just doing this so that you can understand the T1, T2, T3, T4, T5, and so forth. So basically, you don't really have to do this, but I'm just doing it so that you can understand this thing better. If it's the first time you hear about such thing called timelines. So now, remember now, for the first 2 years, so for the first 2 years, and here it's T1, T2. For the first 2 years, the interest rate was 12% compounded semi-annually. 12% compounded semi-annually. Let me just do it so that it can be clear. Semi-annually. Now, for this 2 years, the interest rate for this 2 years is 12%. Now, let's just do it in this case. So, 28,000. So we just gonna, it's compound interest. So we're going to use this one. Remember, this is for the accumulated. This is for the principal value. This is the interest and the number of years. So now, 28,000 is the p-value. So now, 1 plus, now it's 12%. So now let's do it like this. It's 12%, but it's compounded semi-annually. So remember, we're gonna do it over like this, 0,12, and then remember, semi-annually it's 2. Remember, semi-annually it's twice in a year. It's like half yearly, which means a June interest and then at December the interest rate. Now 2 and then 2 times. So now remember, this is for the period here. So the period is 2. Why 2? Because of it's the semi-annually one, and then this interest rate, it's for 2 years. Remember, it's for the first 2 years. So basically, that's how we do it. This, remember, it's for the compounded semi-annually, ne? Also, this one is for the compounded semi-annually. This is for the time period of this 12% interest rate. Remember that, ne? So remember now, since now we're having interest rate of 12% here in the first 2 years, and then thereafter we have interest rate of 10% in the other remaining 5 years. It's basically like that, ne? So it's basically like that. Remember, this 2 years, it's for the period, or this is for the 2 years, and then 10% it's for, it's for the remaining 5 years, ne? So basically, all in all, this period will be equivalent to 7 years. Adding this 2 years and the 5 years will be just a total of 7 years of the financial investment period. Now, let's continue. Now here, it's 28,000. Let's just punch it in the calculator. So now, the key when doing this thing is do not round off. Why am I repeating or saying that do not round off, or I will repeatedly say it here in this video? It's because of in financial maths, if you round off before the final answer, then you are going to affect your final answer basically. So now don't round off. So I'm just gonna do it like this. 2 times 2, which is 4. Now, for the first 2 years, remember, the interest rate initially, it was, sorry, not the interest rate, the investment was 28,000. After 2 years, now, the Tshepiso's money is now 35,349,35488. Now, remember, this money, it's still in the account. Ne? This money, it's still in the account. So which means now, Tshepiso is not withdrawing this money. So which means this money will be the amount here at the beginning of that next 5 years. So which means now, whenever you are doing this interest rate or the accumulated value of the rest of this period, the new value will be this one. Remember, so basically it was, let's say probably it was maybe 33,000 here, then it grew to 35,000 here, then it will go to something, then boom, up until it reaches the final year. So remember now, hence why I didn't round off this, because of we are going to use this as the period, as the principal value for the next period when the interest rate changes, because of it's the money that it's growing in that account. So it's basically like the principal value of that new time value with change the interest rate. So it's gonna be so now this is our new principal value for the next, or for the 5 years remaining interest rate. So the interest rate here will be 10% compounded quarterly, which is 0.1. Now, which is I, and the period, which is 5 years, multiplied by 4. Remember that. So hence I said basically here it's this 5a of the 5 years plus this 2a, which is basically equals to 7 years. Ne? So now let's continue here. So it's 35,000. So which is our new principal value. So let's just, because we will be using it again. It's 5 multiplied by 4 equals to. So now at the end of 7 years, the money that Tshepiso will receive Whitney will receive. Why am I saying Tshepiso? Okay. That Whitney will receive will be equals to 57,924 and 3 cents. Yeah. So basically this is the total amount of money that Tshepiso will receive. So now remember now what happened. Let's do a recap. Whitney invested 28,000. Let's say at 2026. And then it said, okay, I'll be investing this amount of money for 7 years and then so that it will grow interest. So now, during the financial period of Tshepiso's agreement or save this money for 7 years, in the first 2 years, the interest rate was 12% compounded monthly. Then after that, the interest rate changed. So now this is the change that the interest rate did. Remember now, interest rate, when it changes, it will affect the amount of money, the return of investment that this person who invested will be receiving. So now, remember another thing is that we now have to break down everything. We break down these calculations according to the particular investment or interest rate. So remember, for the first 2 years, we have to do the return of investment for the first two, or not basically the return of investment, but just to know, okay, for the first 2 years when the interest rate was 12%, this person got 35,000 for the first 2 years. So which means his money accumulated to 35,000. Then after that, since this person is not withdrawing the money, so it sticks to the end goal, or this person will be investing the money for 7 years. So which means now in the other remaining years, the interest rate was now 10% compounded quarterly. So now, which means now we have to now do the interest rate of the remaining 5 years using this interest rate. So now, a catch is that we know now that this money that was the balance after the 2 years will now be the new principal value for the investment, the remaining investment. So basically, I know this is a long dry method, but then I'll show you another shortcut method. Now, another shortcut method is basically not doing all of this, but it's more or less the same thing. So now I was just breaking everything down in an understandable way. Now, this is a shortcut method. So basically, you do this thingy combined. Now it will be the 28,000 plus the interest rate for the first 2 years. Remember, it was 2 times 2, hence why it's to the power 4. Then you just multiply that with this other one for the remaining 5 years. Then you're gonna get the same answer. So now it depends which one you'll be using. If you're going to be using this one, make sure you don't round off here. So now in the calculator, we just punch everything as I wrote there. It's 28,000 then component quarterly, 12%, semi-annually. Now after that, we just do 2 brackets just to show that this answer that will be here will be multiplied with this new one. So then after that, just like that, then close the bracket, we will receive the same amount of money, 57,924 and 3 cents. It's the same thing. See, it's the same thing. So it just depends on which method do you want or do you prefer. So but now, I prefer this method, but then this one you can still use it if you want to do it. So don't take shortcuts like me. So let's continue with the other one. So now let's continue with this one. Don't forget to like the button. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share this video as much as you can to your friends, to your cousins, to your buddies, to your study mates, that the sensei is back with a banger. The sensei is back with a fresh lesson. We're tackling timelines.